His last post on Instagram kind of gives away the story. It captures everything he has had to go through in the last few years in his cricketing career and the satisfaction and the joy of finally at least meeting one of his targets, if not his ultimate target. We'll be talking about Sanju Samson, and no, I won't be kind of, embarrassing myself by even attempting to say what's written in that caption because it's in Malayali. And
Malayalam.
It's there you go. I mean, I start on wrong foot itself. So मैं कोशिश भी नहीं करूँगा कि वो caption में क्या लिखा है. There's English translation of it, but we'll wait because the guy who kind of corrected me immediately, Sandip G, will be there to help us with all those little insights and beautiful anecdotes of the life of Sanju Samson, who was selected in India's T20 World Cup squad very recently. Welcome to Game Time. With me, of course, as always, is Amit Kamath. But Amit, since Sandeep Ji has already kind of, made his first as a front foot wala cover drive with एक overpitched ball जो मैंने उसको outside the off stump डाल दिया. Sandeep Ji, why don't you tell me what was Sanju Samson's reaction when the news of his selection broke?
Yeah, Mihir, hi man, hi Amit, hi Shashank. It's a little not verputuni takupaya means a shirt soaking sweat, shirt spun with sweat. Basically, he was implying that he had to work really hard for that. He is now 29. He got in the team when he was 18. So, all these years, he was always the fringe man. He was always in the selector's psyche, but, rarely made it to a World Cup, a big tournament. He's been there inconsequential one-day internationals, inconsequential T20s, but, one big series, he's never been part of everything. That's why, he's written that. And especially after that 2020 ODI World Cup snub, not snub, he was overlooked because there were other better guys like, Ishan Kishan and so at that time he wrote I'll take life as it is kind of thing, and he was kind of resigned for which he got a lot of online flack. But you should actually see that song. The song has nothing to do with sweat actually.
There was a song?
Yeah. This is a song from a recent Malayalam blockbuster called Manjumal Boys. So, in which, it's a survivor thriller which is still running in theatres. So, but the song, it starts 5 minutes into that movie, and the song is a bunch of guys barging into an uninvited wedding and drinking. Yeah, it's actually a rap hip-hop kind of a song. Rap hip-hop fusion kind of a song. And Sanju, he's fond of these kind of new themes in Malayalam movie industry as well as Malayalam music. He keeps a very close eye and ear to all this stuff.
Sandeep, just wondering, is Sanju Samson one of those cricketers who has the widest followed or the most sympathized with cricketer we have on social media at this stage?
Yeah, recently I saw a meme that, a different quota, how different players are getting into quota. Sanju sympathy quota. So, he has a feverish fan group which can be very toxic also. Intolerant, toxic.
That's his normal fan group, Sandeep Ji.
Yeah. But this is especially so in, more, almost like a movie star kind of a toxicity you can find. It's like those same thing you find with Ronaldo, Messi fan groups, na? We perennially squabbling.
Or Virat and Rohit Sharma.
Oh, yeah, Virat. Poor Sunil Gavaskar.
Poor Sunil Gavaskar.
Kind of.
Poor Sunil. Or in fact, it's interesting you mentioned because it's also kind of funny how Sanju Samson's and in fact larger cricketing fan group reacted to the co-owner of Delhi Capitals, Parth Jindal, reacting to Sanju Samson's dismissal, I think, in the match earlier in the week. But we digress there. Sandeep, we haven't seen many cricketers from that part of the country. So what is Sanju's kind of backstory? What were his influences? Do we know any of that?
Yeah, Sanju, yes, most of them will know, was born and brought up in Delhi, where his father was in Delhi police, and he was a pretty good centre forward. He still coaches a lot of players. This Ranji team, this recent Santosh Trophy team had 4 or 5 players coached by him. So there was more competitive. Delhi circuit is more competitive, so he came to Kerala. Kerala, at least, a guy with reasonable batting talent can, somewhere down the line, he can get a chance in the Ranji team. So there he was coached by one guy called Biju George, who was also he was groomed most of the Malayali cricketers in the Ranji team. I was now in the Ranji team, like Azharuddin, back in the day, Rohan Prem and all those people, like Raifi. More of them are his kind of approach. So he fell into good hands. But the place that he comes from is Thiruvananthapuram. It's like 20 kilometers from the capital city, Thiruvananthapuram, like it's a fishing port. And now there are plans to elaborate into a major shipping hub also, but it's going on. Like, it's a pretty quaint, very rough neighborhood also. Like, you can sense that you walk down the street. People will stare you and kind of like, it's just a little bit of a rough background, but parts of that place. No one's known for the Vizhinjam coastline is pretty beautiful, known for its drugs and other stuff. Oh God, like the city as such is not sports savvy city. Like, unlike you go to northern part of Kerala where people are absolutely crazy about football and other stuff, even cricket to an extent. But this is more like very pragmatic kind of people, like who don't actually really follow sports. For them, Sanju suddenly bursting into the scene and he getting picked for the Indian team when he was 18-19 was a big thing. So that kind of opened the doors to. There obviously been cricket fans. They do watch a lot of cricket, but suddenly that Sanju captured the imagination. He instilled himself in their consciousness. Yeah, in fact, more than Srishant. Srishant was. I haven't seen too many for all his skills. Srishant in his prime was a beautiful bowler. From wrist position, from action. He was like at his peak. He was a poetry in motion. He had everything to be a great fast bowler. He had harnessed his talent. He would have become 300 plus wickets. He would have easily got. But unfortunately, he didn't. But he had this hyper aggression, kind of a alpha male kind of a thing, which didn't go well with the concept of a Malayali hero. Or those days, people were hooked to Tendulkar, Dravid types, who were more boy next door kind of heroes. Then came such this guy. Nobody really loved him. A lot of people liked him. A lot of people admired his skills. But I've been to a match where, in watching the stands, people were shouting proper expertise for him. He was fielding and fine. He's wondering why my own people are insulting me. That kind of more hate-love relationship than love-hate relationship. But Sanju is more calmer. Sanju is more peaceful. Then this sympathy card really works in Kerala. Once I feel that you don't get what you deserved, the sympathy flies instantly. And then you become a hero. The conventional, a lot of these Malayalam heroes in movies, in novels and all, especially in the 70s and 80s, they cater to that concept.
And clearly he has a massive movie influence. So we'll be talking about that a little later in the podcast. It's also fascinating, you mentioned how the sympathy card has worked out, but also with sympathy, there's been a lot of struggle. I can't remember the first time I heard Sanju Samson's name. It's been that long that he's been around, and always as a second choice, right? Always waiting for either someone to get injured or someone's loss of form. So many players came and went in between, but Sanju was always one of these very stopgap players, I guess. Yeah,
if a person gets injured, he was always a bridesmaid. First when 2013 when he was there, when he was peaked, it was more a gut kind of a choice. There's an young player, young talented player, why not give him a chance? He was given, and a couple of good innings were there. But then there was always Dhoni in ODIs. Dhoni was there till 2017 playing white ball cricket, and then there was test matches at the time. Sanju is never a test match kind of a wicket keeper. He's not a red ball keeper. More like a white ball keeper. He hasn't worked as much to improve his red ball keeping either. So then there was Wriddhiman Saha, and then it was thought he'll replace MS Dhoni eventually, and then came along Rishabh Pant, Ishan Kishan, all these guys came there, and he was then pushed further down. And these guys were damn consistent. Rishabh Pant, you're talking about one of the finest wicketkeepers India has produced, especially in test matches. Test matches, he has done what no other wicketkeeper has done. Centuries in Sena countries and all those stuff. So not even Dhoni has come anywhere near that. So you had competition, you had proper talent. So the reasons he was kept away was purely down to Sanju himself not pushing as much as he could have or he should have, which his unrealistic fans never really understood. They were always you get in Kerala especially, you can't escape that. The kind of vitriol pumped against KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant and Ishan Kishan. Oh God, especially Rishabh Pant. Unimaginable. It's parochialism to another level. But yeah, Sanju, to his credit, he's kept himself at a distance from his fan groups. He's told that public spaces also, please don't abuse other players just to support me. And because he himself knows, it's not, to quote a Dhoni thing, it's not easy. And the Srishant thing, that little digression, Srishant, you told the previous question, it was actually Srishant who introduced him to Rahul Dravid. So Srishant bluffed. This boy is super talented. This boy hit 10 balls of me for 10 sixes. And Sanju has told this one in interviews that Rahul Dravid was always hesitant to whatever Srishant says. He'll take this with a pinch of salt. So he asked him, like, how many sixes have you actually hit? He said, sir, I have hit just 1 6 in 5 or 6 balls. But then he took him to the nets and he saw his potential.
You mentioned about all these players and how much he's had to wait, but we've spoken very much in detail in the previous podcasts about, Rahul, and even Jitesh Sharma, I think, came and went, and Sanju kind of got overlooked in his favor. So it's been a long thing. How different, just a speculation, but I guess it's also worth it. If, Pant and Rahul, and if Ishan Kishan wouldn't have done, if things wouldn't have happened to Ishan Kishan the way it eventually happened, do you think Sanju would still have been in the reckoning?
No. If Ishan Kishan was fit and if those issues were, he hadn't gotten himself into trouble, he walked himself out of contention. Ishan Kishan was like, he had his spot sealed for ages. Like, he was looking, he had brilliant starts in World Cups. He was part of Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan he did the job perfectly well. Then in tests also, in ODIs also, he was coming up. In test matches also, they were trying to experiment with him. And then his graph was climbing, and then all of a sudden it happened, and then he got. That really worked in Sanju's favor also. But then Sanju also did his bit by scoring all these runs in IPL, consistency and...
Sandeep, I also wanted to understand, I know you mentioned that, he's always kind of been the bridesmaid, never the bride. Now he's finally been picked for a T20 World Cup. But what are the chances that he actually gets to play, considering there is also Pant there, and Pant is also having a resurgence of sorts? So could it also be that he gets picked, but he's still, just on the bench throughout the whole World Cup?
Yeah, it could well be the case because, Rishabh Pant is undroppable. And I think the only option is, maybe they want an extra batsman in the top 4 or an extra batsman in number 5. Maybe that is the only option that he can actually get into the team. Rishabh Pant is undroppable, is untouchable. So again, the chances of Sanju actually playing in a World Cup will be, I think it's going to be pretty difficult.
Does the Indian team need extra batsmen? I thought they were way too laden with the, top order, middle order batsmen that they're taking to the T20 World Cup anyway. So, there are, legitimately we've had to leave out somebody like a Shubman. He's not even he's in the reserves. We've left out Rinku. So, where does even Sanju Samson fit in a sense if we leave out?
He's kind of a backup for a lot of roles. If an opener gets injured, he can be one. He's a multi-utility alternative. So, if an opener gets injured, he can be there. If a number 3 gets injured, he can be there. If Rishabh Pant gets injured, he can be there. I don't think if on form, top 3, even if Virat Kohli has a really bad series, I don't think they'll drop him at any point because Virat Kohli is Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma. So, in case one of them gets himself injured, there's a fitness concern or something, or in case they need an extra top order batsman, especially who can hit big shots against the spinners, then I think Sanju has a chance. Or as such, it looks pretty bleak only.
That's not kind of encouraging, but...
Yeah, because if you take Shubman Gill, he can be there for the top 3 or even he can bat anywhere actually on the order, but he can't be an alternative wicketkeeper. His only combination was that was KL Rahul, and KL Rahul he also got runs, but that is Sanju Khan's strike rate. That was an actual impediment. Otherwise, Rahul was an automatic pick.
Sandeep, we want to also kind of understand what was the turnaround that he went from being just a backup to being in the World Cup team. But before we do that, I think Sandeep, Shashank Bhargava, our producer, has an interesting... He's dug up some information, which I don't know, Shashank. It's interesting, too good to be true kind of a story then. But yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Sandeep, I'm at Sanju Samson's Wikipedia page, and in the section outside cricket, it says as of 2016, Sanju is working as the manager of Bharat Petroleum in Trivandrum. Is that correct? Was he?
Yeah, he got the job and he doesn't go there or something. Most of these cricketers, Rahul Dravid also is part of one of those petroleum companies. All these guys do have a kind of a job, where they get pretty nominal salary kind of a thing. That's more kind of a brand ambassador kind of a thing.
Doesn't Dhoni also have a role with, I think, India?
Yeah, India Siemens. Yeah, he also has an honorary vice president kind of a role.
Right. So, with the whole petroleum thing and, that also supporting his career. But Sandeep, on ground, what was the turnaround like? He's been around for 5-6 years, always overshadowed. What worked in his favor? Because I was just going through a Cricinfo story, which had interesting stats of how Sanju had great starts to IPLs, but he All those kind of petered out towards the end or the middle section of the tournament. This time it's of course he's been through and through. So what's been the big difference?
That's been Sanju's case throughout his career, be it for Rajasthan Royals, be it for Kerala. I mean, he'll play the group games, couple of group games, Ranji games, Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy and Vijay Hazare. He'll play brilliantly first 3 games and then he fizzles out. That was a problem that has marked him throughout the career. Like Rajasthan Royals, he'll have like 3-4 great innings in the first half, and of which maybe a couple of them will be of winning causes. But this time he has been doing that also. He's winning games for Rajasthan. I remember a year before he scored a brilliant 100 or something, but still Rajasthan lost. That kind of things used to happen. In Kerala, in 2018, they reached semi-finals. They had a home game against Vidarbha. In semi-final, he did nothing. And they lost. That was Kerala's biggest chance to at least reach a final. He had a couple of hundreds in the group phase, but he didn't score anything in the knockout phase. So that kind of story was always there with Sanju. So maybe, I mean, that will again be scrutinized this IPL in how he plays in the playoff. But at least league phase, he has shown sustained form and been winning matches. I mean, playing different kind of roles, finisher, accumulator, kind of, I mean, a T20 kind of an anchor. I mean, he's been doing all kinds.
Sandeep, in the piece that you've written, there was a fascinating mention that you had said that, after he was picked, plenty of politicians anyway have tried to establish some sort of tenuous connection with Sanju by posting selfies and whatever. But he does seem to have this genuine connection with movies and, proper bona fide superstars of Tinseltown, if you will. Be it Mammootty, be it Mohanlal, be it Rajnikant. Can you just talk about that connection a little bit?
Actually, I mean, he's a big fan of Rajnikant. So when he was 10 years or 11 years, he actually dreamt of meeting Rajnikant. So he told his father, I want to meet Rajnikant. He said, you become someone famous, then Rajnikant will come and meet you. That happened 10 years later. It happened. They watched the game of Sanju and they got impressed, and suddenly he gets a call from Rajnikant telling that I want to meet this boy. And he and his manager, he's his cricket friend only. I mean, he's once teammate and now friend called Ikhlas Naha. So they both flew to Madras, went to Rajnikant's house, 2 hours there and came back. And not just Rajnikant, everywhere. Some of the pictures were showed that kind of intimacy. You can see the warmth that exists between them, like Sanju and Mohanlal. And imitating Sanju's voice in this mimicry shows has now become very popular. Some of the stars also. He has a kind of a kooky, very pre-adolescent sound he has, sort of. So that has become then he's a very good friend of this actor called Basil Joseph. I mean, he is a brilliant young director, 33, 34 years of. So there's a lot of shows with him, when he talks about sports, cricket, movies, everything. So, then he gets into film functions also. He gets invited to this film awards of Kerala television channels in Dubai, in the Middle East. So he frequents Dubai also a lot for these things. Almost every other actor posted a picture with him. I mean, and any shows Sanju goes for inauguration of a hospital where he interacts 2 hours with 3-4 doctors. I mean, he shifts worlds easily. And maybe, now in Kerala, the thing is, everyone is telling Basil to make a movie out of Sanju. Either make Sanju act or either make a biopic of Sanju, but you never know.
That's a nice alternate career waiting for him, but it's incredible, just the wide range of things he's been exposed to, right? A father who's a football coach, he's himself I remember you were saying in one of the conversations we were having, he has a mean free kick, you said, right? Bends the ball.
Oh, yeah. Sanju actually also is a pretty decent footballer. Yeah? I've seen a few clips of him, pretty good first touch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. People who you've seen him, he was actually a pretty good player. I mean, very clinical kind of a striker. He was a Filippo Inzaghi of Delhi Police. If I may take a license.
So an aspiring footballer, a professional cricketer, a wannabe movie star, and I guess also a possible social media influencer with the kind of the post that he keeps on having on his Insta and his Twitter, or more Insta than Twitter.
He sings also pretty well, huh?
Proper all-rounder. Shashank has one more question.
Sandeep, I'm to just being a cricket noob, I'm just Googling Sanju Samson as you guys are talking. But how come there's been so much talk about him being inconsistent over the years? Is that something that rings true to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has been inconsistent. I mean, if you have a first-class average of 37, you have to be inconsistent. When Chedeshwar Pujara was picked, you're talking about different kind of a specialist batsman. Even then, when Chedeshwar Pujara was picked, he had an average of 73. When even Rahane had an average of 71. So, I mean, that's a kind of competition in Test cricket. I mean, Rishabh Pant waltzed into the white ball selection after 56 ball double 100 in a list A game. So, I mean, that kind of average is, its consistency it's pretty important. Like, even if you look at a wicketkeeper batsman these days, you have to be absolutely consistent. Not with an average of 37. Like, I mean, even some people say that Ishan Kishan also had an average of 38. But when Ishan Kishan was inconsistent, but when he got the runs, he got big runs, like 178, 180, hundreds in quarterfinals, hundreds in semi-finals. So he had that kind of run which Sanju didn't have. I mean, his first class career kind of sort of never reached the heights it should be.
No, it's interesting. And, like Amit asked and you answered earlier in the episode, it will be interesting to see what happens to him in terms of playing 11 chances at the World Cup. Personally, I don't know, if you ask me, I'd go for Sanju Samson over Rishabh Pant just for the kind of form he's in right now, and I think might as well take a leap of faith. Brings a lot of variety, but yeah, I get it when you say why Rishabh Pant is undroppable. So I guess that will be one of the big calls that the selectors will have to make, that the captain coach will have to make at the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think Yashasvi Jaiswal has to be a little careful. I mean, he's not high on runs. He hasn't scored too many runs in his IPL. If he fails in a few games, I mean, I think I can see Sanju either at number 3 with Virat Kohli opening the innings. You never know about that combination. I think Virat also should, ideally, he should open the inning. He should open with Rohit Sharma.
It's interesting. We'll, of course, when T20 World Cup isn't too far off now, and we'll be doing a proper thorough analysis of the Indian team. So that episode will be. Sandeep, it's been a great thing talking to you about Sanju Samson. Amit, I don't know if he's there. He's been having, unfortunately, some technical issues. So thanks, Sandeep, for taking us through Sanju Samson's life and times. And it will be an interesting call. We'll, of course, be following what's happening in the IPL and what's happening vis-a-vis Indian team selection for the T20 World Cup. Thank you for listening to this episode of Game Time. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Shashank. We'll see you all next week.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com. ये रेडिट पे संजू सैमसन के काफ़ी अच्छे पोस्ट्स हैं यार. मैंने अभी मिहिर के साथ एक पोस्ट शेयर किया विद द टाइटल इज शिट IPL प्लेयर्स दैट आरंट एक्चुअली शिट. And somebody has a detailed analysis of Sanju Samson's true average and true strike rate. And there are a lot of threads about him, man. Quite interesting chap.